Is on the first page. So, yeah, thank you guys. Have a good one. So, the background and purpose of our study: Dr. Martorelli and her colleagues set out to determine the role that boredom plays in sports training, and more specifically, they wanted to kind of pin down the relationship between difficulty of engagement and value of the training, and how both of these variables affect boredom. Boredom clearly has negative consequences in sports, like decreased motivation and performance, and increases in dropout rates. And by understanding the factors that affect boredom, we as researchers and students and soon-to-be parents and coaches can work to organize our sports in a different way to prevent boredom. So the main question of the study is, does difficulty of engagement and perceived value of training predict boredom in young athletes? So the participants in this study, there were 153 athletes studied. 51% of them were male and 49% of them were female, and they were between the ages of 16 and 60, with the mean age being 32.7 years and the standard deviation being about 12 years. And like I said, this study was conducted in Switzerland. So the sports they looked at, which I forgot to mention on my PowerPoint, but were primarily individual sports, such as ski touring and cross-country running, but they also studied team sports like basketball, soccer, gymnastics. And so the methods, the participants rated their difficulty of engagement, value of training, and perceived effort on a 1.5 Likert scale, ranging from not at all to a lot. And so they looked at these variables within sports, and then they also asked them these questions in a broader sense regarding their life. And so it may seem confusing, but it'll make a little more sense here in a minute. So yeah, to start, they basically found that the individuals that predicted high levels of boredom in their life outside of sports, that those individuals also had high levels of boredom. And so that's what I mean here by proneness to boredom. And they also found that the higher the difficulty to engagement was associated with higher levels of boredom. So the harder it was to participate in their sports, the more boredom they reported. In addition to this, I think one of the important findings was that there was relatively lower levels of boredom in team settings, I would assume because of the social aspect. And, this is pretty self-explanatory, but when training is to be perceived of little value, the correlation is even stronger. So when, the athletes don't really see the point in their sport, boredom is very, very likely. So the implications. One main implication is that training in a team could be a way to mediate your levels of boredom. So if you're a cross-country runner, or we don't do it here much, but you're doing ski touring, it would be a good idea to run with a group, or find a club, or do your best to make a team. And so what do we do as organizers and researchers? First, coaches and trainers should just work to create meaningful and engaging experience, considering when it is easily engageable, we report low levels of boredom. In addition, we need to encourage our athletes to express when they are feeling bored, given that boredom affects goal-driven pursuit. And still though, there haven't been any specific interventions in sports that have been created to combat high levels of boredom. And one main limitation of our study was that it failed to really study performance. And other studies have contributed to this, but they didn't go the extra step to determine the relationship between boredom and performance specifically. But with that being said, my citation